These pictures weren't taken in 1930s Europe.
It's almost like going back in time to the time of Hitler and the time of Stalin.
Nor were they taken in a Middle Eastern country with a history of anti-Jewish sentiment.
The message is, we don't like you.
Rather, these photos were taken over the past year in Venezuela, where the Jewish community says anti-Semitism is not only widespread,
I'm thought of as an enemy of the government,
but stems from the highest levels of government.
It was in the middle of the night at the end of January 2009 when 15 armed men stormed the Tiferet synagogue, overtaking the security guards. They entered the sanctuary here and they ransacked it. They took the Torah scrolls from their sacred place and they threw them on the floor. They went through the private studies, and on the outside, they spray painted anti-Semitic messages.
Death to the Jews, it said in the synagogue. That's what they left, the message. Those were common thieves. Whom are you trying to convince? One has to be an idiot to believe that. And how do you solve a crime in a few days? It creates an atmosphere of fear, of insecurity, of vulnerability, that you are not protected by normal laws, normal rights, that somebody can do whatever they want to at any time.
Through the state-sponsored media, you've actually seen what you called, what your word was, a blueprint for anti-Semitism.
This person called Emilio Silva Chapellin, he published in this government-sponsored website, Aporrea, on January 20th, 2009, how to attack the Jews in Venezuela. He says, for example, denounce publicly, with names and last names, the members of Jewish groups present in Venezuela, indicating the companies they own, in order to establish a boycott. We have to question the existence of Venezuelan educational institutions for Jews, which means he's actually threatening our schools.
Does Chavez's government's relationship and his increasingly cozy relationship with Iran, does that worry you as a Jew here in Caracas?
It worries me as a Jew and as a Venezuelan.
Why?
Because I think it is the worst thing that can happen to us as a country and as a Jewish community.
Why?
Because Iran is the biggest enemy of Israel.
You have to be taught to hate. And unfortunately, in Venezuela, we're being taught to hate.
Who is teaching this hate?
The government. No question about it. What we have today is a state-sponsored negative attitude toward the Jewish community, toward the Jewish state, toward the Jewish people in general. To this date, I don't think that the Venezuelan is anti-Semitic. I don't think so.
But you believe the government is?
I have no doubt about it.
It's almost like going back in time to the time of Hitler and the time of Stalin, when the personality cult was central to the government. I mean, there was only one person, only one leader, and only one reference. I mean, nobody else was allowed.
Sammy, are you comparing Chavez to Hitler?
Well, in a way, yes. In a way, yes. I cannot compare, of course, the Holocaust to what's happening in Venezuela. I mean, that would be a travesty, I mean, if I was to do that. But in the makeup of the person, sure.
Sammy, if you are comparing Chavez to Hitler, what does that say to you? What does that tell you about your future as a Jew here in Venezuela? What does that say to you?
Well, what it says to me is that a future doesn't really exist.
To get this and other great HDNet programming, call your cable or satellite provider and ask for HDNet.